Well, hi, and welcome back, everybody, to episode number 86 of the danjohnuniversity.com podcast. Welcome back. Remember, if you want to hear all of them, you can go to Patreon and sign up with Coach Dan John, or the easiest way is just go to danjohnuniversity.com and sign up for everything we have here. Let's get started. So, I got a question from Steph. I have a friend that I'm helping to train for the police entry-level fitness standards. The standards for age 20 to 29 are a 1.5 mile run in 1450 and 300 meters in 71 seconds. When I first read this, I needed a little bit more information, and we get it in the next line. Today we tested out a baseline and I got the following results: 1.5 mile run, 21:21, 300 meters in 97 seconds. Wanted to know your ideas to help lower her time. Well, one thing I would recommend is a weekly, it'd be a 4 or 5 mile run. Just get the base in there for that 1.5. I used to use this formula coaching track. I would just multiply the event by 3, and each week make sure, so a mile, 3 miles, 400 meters, 1,200 meters. And each week you wanted to make sure you did, I wouldn't call it garbage running, but you wanted to make sure you got that run in to build that elastic conditioning that you're going to need. How much does it help? I don't know. I don't know. It's a good question. It seemed to work with the kind of athlete I was working with, and the kind of athlete that your friend is probably the non-elite person who needs to do a track and field event. So at least one day a week, the long run, and try to, 4.5 miles would be enough. 5 is just a logical number. We're going to have to do a nice base of speed work to get that 71, that from 97 to 71. When we look at the times, we're both about 50% off in both. So just about anything you do daily, 4 days a week, is going to take care of a lot of it. It's not going to be hyper scientific. I would say you want the long run once a week. You do need some speed work. I would love to see you guys getting out on the track sometimes, or even something as simple as the Swedes call the fartlek, is just go out and get some running mixed with walking, mixed with sprinting. I think that's something that would help. On this 300 meters time, we're going to have to really work on the speed there. I'd like to know where we started to flounder and fail a little bit. I think that would help. For example, if the runner got to the 200-meter line in really a fast time, whatever the example would be here, in the 40s or something like that, and then just died after that. That's a pretty simple formula. I like the fact that it's 300 meters. 300 meters is a good. It's a good test of human performance. I really think you're going to be just happy. One long run a week. I would say 2 medium sprint sessions a day. When I mean medium, I don't medium distance. I would say 200, 300, and even 400 meters. I'd love to see what the 400-meter time is with your runner. They're going to hate you though. On those days you're on the track, I would give you a limit of about 1,200 meters total. So, if you decide to do, here's a real simple workout. Do a timed 600 meter, and then do a 300 meter, and then a 200 meter and a 100 meter. And just try to time them and just see where the problems lie. If you have one of those times is just horrible, that would be the one you need to focus on a little bit. Honestly, though, anything you do right now, including just going out for a jogging team, is going to help immensely. So I hope that helps, Steph. Thanks for the question. We have a question from Muhammad. I heard, which is always an interesting phrase, that in strength training to get optimal results, you need long rest periods of 5 to 15 minutes. I've never heard 15 minutes before. That is ridiculous. I mean, I would be bored to death. I know that Maffetone recommends that one workout called slow lifting, where you just kind of, every time you walk by the barbell, you lift it. Pavel calls it grease the groove with the pull-ups, but that's really a long time. But from what I've gathered, listening to your podcast, you seem to be more of a fan by going by feel, absolutely, and not measuring or emphasizing on the rest periods unless it's unless it's 3 sets of 8 with 1 minute rest. I wanted to know what your thoughts on the 5 to 15 minute long rest periods. It's just way too long. Between sets are, and if you generally don't talk about it, because most of us don't have the time for it. Yeah, Muhammad, there's the biggest one right there. I can just imagine my life if I did, if I'm doing 5 sets of snatches and those 5 sets take me an hour and 15 minutes. I got to live. I got a life out there. I got a dog to take care of, right? Serious? I got, lawns to mow. I got to shovel snow. I've never heard 15 minutes. Now, when you do something like Grease the Groove, every time you walk past the pull-up bar, you do a set of pull-ups. Maffetone's great idea of doing overhead squats, up to 8 sets a day, 1 an hour. I'm fine with that. But for the rest of us, Muhammad, man, we just don't have, I certainly could do that Maffetone thing quite easily. I'm my own home gym, and, I have all the equipment you'd ever need. But I just, that is just, it's something, I don't know. I think that's just a little bit too long. I hope that helps. Is there an advantage to longer rest periods? I've never seen any. At Olympic lifting meets, I've had to rest. Oh, man, that one meet in Minnesota, I think I had my opener. And it seemed, I'm exaggerating, but it seemed like about 20 minutes for my next lift. And that, I really had to go back in and take some warm-up lifts between my lifts, which was weird. But I don't see any advantage to it. And life doesn't work that way. I don't know anything in life that you would do something, and then sit around for 15 minutes and do it again. Certainly, I'm sure there's examples. I just don't really know of them. I hope that helped. Thank you, Mohammed. We have a question from Travis. I heard you recommend, always be careful when I say, if I'm doing something, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm recommending it. It just simply means I'm doing it. I heard you recommend ankle weights before for adding a bit of fitness to a basic walk. I purchased a pair of 5-pound weights to do just that, the same exact weight I have. And mine are this very bright lime green color, which are not attractive. There are some articles online that do not recommend ankle weights for walking due to increased risk of injury and overworking the quads. Well, it's up to you. I have no issues. I've never heard of anybody having an issue with ankle weights walking. And I just got to wonder what these people spend their time doing. So I thought I'd like to ask what you consider a reasonable program for this. So 5 days a week, Travis, I put on those ankle weights. 1 day a week, I add a backpack, a heavy one. And then I pick up 2 hand weights and I go for a walk. Well, that's my programming. I go for a 1 to 2 to 3 mile walk with those. I kind of monitor my heart rate a little bit just to see how that's going. But I don't necessarily program it. It's just a walk I do after I do my lifting. I try to walk every single day with the ankle weights on. In fact, Travis, what I've discovered is the exact opposite of what you read online. Oh, yeah, and trust everything online. One thing I do like about the ankle weights is it's really difficult to have any kind of bad gait problem with ankle weights. They tend to make my legs swing forward so that my stride, my feet are perfectly straight. And I also notice I get a lot of whipping in my spinal column, like Stu McGill recommends so much. So for me, it's win-win. Your mileage may vary, as you know. I hope that helps. Thank you. We have a question from Gage. You've expressed your enthusiasm for the front squat many times. Well, yeah, as a coach, I'm enthusiastic. As a lifter, I hate them. Would you be able to speak a bit with regards to your favorite methods for improving strength in the front squat? Preferred set times rep combo frequency programming or whatever comes to mind. Yeah, Gage, do them is the best thing I know. I've had success on front squats 3 different ways. Probably still my favorite, though, was just the 1 lift a day. Tuesdays, I front squatted, and that's all I did. On Tuesday, I would come in and get as many sets of front squats as I could. Week 1, towards the end of my career, week 1 was sets of 5, week 2 was sets of 3. And then week 3 was sets at 2. And I would try, like the one workout I did, 15 sets at 2 in the front squat with about, not very long, about a minute or so rest in between. And that was some of the best lifting in my career. If you're doing 2 days a week, that volume is not going to work very well. And if you do something like 3 days a week of front squats, that which is great, but it just beats you up after a while. I have found that 3 sets of 8 with a minute rest in the front squat is really an informative way to train for me. But honestly, there's no magic formula with front squats. I mean, it's, you do them, and if you get the load up enough and the reps high enough, the magic happens. Okay, thank you. We have a question from Arvid. My lower back is giving me some trouble when I do deep back squats. I have therefore considered switching them for box squats, slightly above parallel, which does not give me the same problems. Isn't that interesting? However, there seems to be a divided opinions regarding the usefulness of box squats for athletes and how they carry over to movements such as sprinting and jumping. What are your thoughts on these? I've used them in my career. I coached them when I worked with Bigger, Faster, Stronger and Upper Limit. I think, and I know that some people swear by them. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of them. I think you go way too heavy on them. Some people do. I've been told by some there's a huge carryover in the throwing. I've never seen it. I've been told by others that it's a great movement. The powerlifter people use it very well, and I think it's great for that. Personally, I would be more interested in why does your back hurt when you go deeper? Is there a twist in your spine? Is there some issue with your spinal column? I'd like to find that out. Is there a general weakness in one of your systems that's causing it? But yeah, so box squats, I don't hate them. I just never have used them very much. I like chains a lot. So you put chains on the barbell and do squats with that. I think you get the same benefits, and it's much easier. And I use the Bigger, Faster, Stronger chains that have the collar. They're a collar with the chain that hooks onto it. I love those. I love them. I started using those back in, it must have been 2004. My old gym, we probably had 13 to 20 sets of those chains. Sets, not just individuals. We had a lot of them, and I love those. So I'd like to figure out why your lower back hurts when you squat deep, and then B, maybe look into chains and bands. But if you want a box squat, please help yourself. I hope that helps. Bye-bye. Got a question from Zach. I'm a police officer on the East Coast. I'm 26, 5'11", and approximately 190 pounds, and could probably benefit to lose 10 or so pounds. That seems, according to my doctor, everybody could benefit from losing 10 pounds. Would you recommend using the fat loss workout generator or the general workout generator for my day-to-day workouts? My goals are simply health and longevity with some aesthetic goals sprinkled in. Of course, everybody wants to look good. That's absolutely true. But definitely not chasing the bodybuilder look. Yeah, I would be a big fan of you using either one. Personally, I think being a police officer, let's keep you with the general workout generator, and maybe after every workout, just go for a walk. And that's going to, it doesn't have to be a crazy walk. 15 minutes, 30, 45 minutes is all you really need. And try to walk while you're still while the system is still geared up, heart's beating, a little bit of sweat going on. That will be a good twofer for you. You'll get your hypertrophy, your mobility work, and your strength work, and then you've lit up the system, and now you'll just gently just walk. Hopefully burn off some of those free fatty acids that are floating around. Zach has a follow-up question, and I think this is a good one for a police officer. Also, I've heard you mention the lift and sprints are a good workout for police. Would you recommend doing them maybe 2 to 3 times a week on top of the generator workouts? At first, Zach, let's do them 1 day a week. I don't know how many days a week in a lift, but say you lift 3 or 4 or 5, doesn't matter. On that other day, bring yourself out some kind of load, a dumbbell, a kettlebell, and do goblet squats followed by sprints. Do that 3 times and you're done. Don't ever do more than 3. If 3 is not enough, then you didn't go heavy or fast enough or hard enough. Yeah, I think for police officers, it's really a good idea. This is one of those things I actually came up with for what's now they refer to as the tactical athlete. But it is a training program I came up with for the military and the SWAT teams. I hope I have a great backstory on it, but that's the truth is about where I came up with it. Weird thing is it really helps discus throwers too. So, and if it works for discus throwers, it's got to work for everybody. Hope that helps. Thank you. We have a question from Alex, and I read this twice, but we'll read it out loud. I was curious to hear you discuss your opinion of kettlebell snatches versus single arm swings. Well, okay. I've heard you mention you're not particularly fond of single arm swings since many trainees don't do them well. Right. There you go. But I haven't heard you express similar feelings regarding the kettlebell snatch. Maybe I'm wrong. Well, Alex, you are. I like the single hand kettlebell snatch. I honestly think the Secret Service, which is the 10-minute snatch test, is one of the most insightful things I've ever done in my life. Getting 200 snatches in 10 minutes with the 24. Fortunately, I'm a big enough engine to have gotten a lot done in the first 5 minutes because the last 5 minutes were brutal. Is this because the difference in volume or weight typically used for the 2 drills or something more specific to the movements? It's the movements. With the single hand swing, if you lose that chin sternum zipper line, the CSZ, what I call it, and you start to twist off, or you let that zipper go one way and your chin stays another. I think that adds a lot of loading to the lower back, the spine. I got to be careful about how I say anything. And here's the thing: all you need is 1 rep gone wrong, maybe even a bad night's sleep, and you might tweak that back. And trust me, tweaking the back, getting a mild back injury, can often take a long time to undo. So that's kind of the reason I don't like them. The same problem does not happen with the snatch because of the finish is always here, and it always gives you a moment to kind of calibrate the system. Okay, totally unrelated question, but since I'm looking to start a round of Mass Made Simple, thought I'd ask. I remember you and Pat Flynn discussed potential benefits for 1 to 2 higher calories days, weeks when chasing fat loss. Yeah, that is a common thing. I know that a lot of people who follow what is the one diet called? The Tim Ferriss one where you eat beans at every meal. You know, he has that cheat day. A lot of cyclical ketogenic dieting. The original 5 0 carb, 2 carb up days. Then later, like Lyle said, some people need a Wednesday night carb up. That certainly helps a lot of people. It helps you reset. Seems to be more like the way nature would work too. Do you see any analogous benefits to lower calorie days during a hypertrophy period, possibly to potentiate gains on days with more food, harder training? Well, that's actually kind of an interesting idea, Alex. So Alex is wondering if you did a light day, food-wise, on a mass building program, would it help? I think it would probably help your health a lot. But here's what I look at, Alex. I'm asking you to take 6 weeks out of your life and gain mass. The best way to go into a mass building program is to come in leaner. I think like the fast mimicking diet is a great thing to do before Mass Made Simple. I think any kind of fasting is a good idea. I think leaning out as much as you can before a mass period is a great idea. So I guess what I'm saying is you want to do those days before you start the mass building, dedicate those 6 weeks to mass building, and then come back and deal with your health later. Your question is really interesting. I don't have any experience with it, and I wouldn't want to lie to you. I hope that helps. We have a question from Christoph. Starting training with weights, mostly kettlebells, I've noticed that I cannot perform the basic movements correctly: swing, deep goblet squat, kettlebell deadlift, as my back keeps rounding very soon. I think this is an issue coming from my hamstrings, which are very short due to a lot of sitting at my job, combined with a lot of running and extensive bike rides in my triathlon training. Yeah, I don't usually want to comment on something like that, but between the desk, the bike, and that joggy kind of stuff you guys do as triathlons, as triathletes, yeah, I could see things kind of locking up. And then just pretend you're in the position of the bike, and you'll notice between the desk and the bike, you're spending a lot of time in that comma position. I have no chance coming anywhere near my toes when bending over. Wow. Okay. Right now, I am elevating the kettlebells on the start of the swing and go only as deep as possible without rounding in on the goblet squat, filming myself while doing so. As one can discover and can get confused by a nearly infinite number of stretching, mobility, contract, relax, and other advice about stretching or getting more flexible on the internet, what are your thoughts and preferred exercises to overcome this? Well, so let's just break it down. Okay, could it be immobile ankles? Because if it's immobile ankles, you can put your heels up on 2x4s, or you can put your heels up on 10-pound plates or something like that. That would help if it's ankle mobility. If it's basic hip mobility, well, that's what the goblet squat is designed to do. I notice you're not going to the bottom. Even if you're rounded, I don't mind you going to the bottom, because when you get to the bottom, I want you to push your knees out with your elbows. Okay? And I do have a drill called the goblet squat to the overhead squat. I'd love to see you video that, because if I could see that, we might be able to really be able to find what mobility issues you have. Now, flexibility, and that'd be you're touching your toes and things like that. I'm not sure that's going to make a difference. I'm a big believer that we get much more flexible in the weight room. It'd be interesting to have you do, there's 3 exercises I'd recommend. First, just the daily hang, the bottom just in the goblet squat. Okay. And then a loaded, the one I would love you to have is the we call it the Romanian deadlift stretch. Just go to my YouTube account. You can look at just search for each of those. The Romanian deadlift is where you hold the weight behind your back and you push your butt into the weight. You might even be one of the people that would get something out of a loaded straight legged deadlift, though some people's lower backs just don't like them. So I don't want to make that I don't want to give it to you as medicine. Being immobile is tough. Triathletes tend to come to me with weird, locked up areas in their bodies. And the thing is, if they're a good triathlete, I don't fix it, because their sport is very specific, and I don't want to mess with their careers. But if you're just a gentleman triathlete, you might want to work Christoph at getting those addressed sooner than later. Adam asks a question: is there any benefit to back bridging for the average person? Well, I know some people really push it as a mobility exercise. You can certainly maybe tone it down a little bit with one of the members of the yoga family. I blew out I got my umbilical hernia from a yoga class by doing that excessive back bending. It's cleaned up now. Well, yay for me. I can see why you would consider it. Lots of the things we do with foam rolling actually address it probably better than some of the more active stretches. I watch people online do all these magical things with it, and I got great respect for what they're doing, but I hate to say it, I don't necessarily see the value. So for the average person, I don't know. If you need to for your sport, like wrestling or the fights, yeah. Javelin throwers will get a lot out of it. But other than that, I think we can pass on it. Thank you. We have a question from Ben. At risk of being a big question, I'd like to ask the following. What would be your recommended focus points for 14 to 19-year-old teenage boys in a general S&C program? Yeah, well, it's the power lifts and the Olympic lifts. Bench, squat, deadlift, clean and press, snatch, clean and jerk. If they can't do those, they didn't have a good program. That's a strong statement. You can certainly do a whole bunch of other stuff, but I just think if you had a program from 14 to 19 and you don't know how to do the Olympic snatch, you weren't being taught well. They're going to figure out the bodybuilding exercises for themselves. You don't ever coach at any of it. But those are the big six I would really emphasize. Kettlebells, probably the swing, probably the snatch, goblet squat, maybe the clean and press family. But those are the big ones. That is, what do they typically lack and need help with? What do they typically lack? Good coaching and appropriate loading. What would be your recommended and school friendly in order to receive school financial support, S&C certifications, programs, etc., for a UK-based teacher, S&C coach? Well, I mean, I teach at St. Mary's, so I mean, there's a good chance I think you should go to St. Mary's. But I think it'd be a wise idea to be Olympic lift certified and kettlebell certified. As for the other stuff, you're not going to have much of an impact. You take all the nutritional courses you want, but the kids are not in a place to really do much about it. Obviously get them to stop, using junk food as their base calories. But those, I would say, Olympic lifting and kettlebell cert. Okay, hope that helps. We have a question from John. What is the best way to increase explosiveness without using the Olympic lifts? Well, explosiveness is you can do the Olympic lifts and still not have any. So I always go to the hinge family. I'm a big fan of glute bridges. That's the isometric hip thrust. I like hip thrusts a lot. I like safe ballistic work, a well done kettlebell swing, for example. A lot of my friends are now using the deadlift jump with the trap bar. So you have a trap bar and you jump with it. I don't know. I don't know if I like that or not. Don't let the loads go crazy. It's not a sport. It's just a movement. If you have a good hip thrust, you have a good squat pattern. I think you're going to be able to build explosiveness, because explosiveness comes from the glutes and then the orchestration of the entire body. I find explosiveness to be very specific to the task. You might have somebody who's really explosive doing that drill over there and then no explosion in the field of play. They're great at the drill and they can't carry it over. And that's why I think you need, it's got to carry over to the field of play. So, if you're doing a whole bunch of jump drills for your basketball players, but they can't touch the net, then something's going wrong there. I hope that helps. I know that wasn't my best answer, but I'm a big fan of making sure that the hip thrust pattern, the basic hinge pattern, and the basic squat pattern are locked down before you worry about trying to add any explosion to it. We have a question from Steve. I'm 59, 6'1", and 168 pounds, and an avid tennis player. I play singles at a relatively high level 3 times a week for 90 to 120 minutes each session. Tennis is important to me for fun, fitness, and mental health. My question is, I've struggled to compose an effective strength routine that doesn't leave me slow and tight on the court. I've been doing a 30-minute workout of compound movements using a continuous loop band 2 to 3 times a week, along with some planks and loaded carries mixed in. I like this. It works and is something I'm able to stick with because of the convenience and simplicity. But I know I'm not creating any real hypertrophy, more just slowing the rate of decline in muscle mass and functional strength. And if you don't mind me commenting again, Steve, at 59, yeah, you're fighting against that. That's just nature. Should I keep with what I'm doing, or should I switch to 1 day a week of heavy training with kettlebells and dumbbells? See, you got yourself into either or thinking. Best thing I can recommend to you, Steve, is sign up at Dan John University and just do the workout generator. Let's do this. Try 2 days a week on the workout generator at first. Whatever equipment you have, fill it in. I'd like to see you doing goblet squats. I'd like to see you doing hinges. I love the fact that you're doing loaded carries, but you need to use load. And when you say continuous loop band, that's not going to be enough load for you at your body weight. I mean, you'll get some workout. There's no question. And the loops are wonderful. They're wonderful to toss into any training program. I have a bunch of them. I think they're wonderful. But you also need to start training with progressive resistance. Okay. Dan John University, start off 2 days a week. Try that for 2 weeks. Just get a gauge on how you feel. And then I would suggest probably sliding up to 3 when you're not playing tennis very much. If that ever comes up during your year, slide up to 4 or 5 times a week. The workouts, so you'd have 3 hard, maybe 2 easy. Okay. It does make me happy to see how much work you're already doing. 6 hours of tennis a week, plus that hour and a half on top of that. That's a lot of work, Steve. So good for you, but I do appreciate your wisdom, understanding that things are about to change. Okay, well, there you go. Remember, if you have questions for the podcast, email them to me at podcast@danjohnuniversity.com. I'll do my best to answer each one every time. And remember, if you want to get everything, danjohnuniversity.com, or go to Patreon and just find Coach Dan John. Thank you, and we'll see you soon.